Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 253 of the Drunk Dashers podcast. I'm your host as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, the beatboxing machine himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I am doing fantastic today. Man, tell you what, this past week has been really interesting. Not just in terms of like work, not just in terms about gaming, but just the fact that just doing my music projects and stuff, and then all of a sudden just having that type of, well, let's just say that type of welcome, like response by my family and friends, man. It's been amazing. I'll just say that right now. So for those who are listening in, on my Facebook page, I uploaded a video of me doing some acapella work to a song entitled Send Me On My Way. For those who don't know what that song is, just think of that movie Matilda, you know, sort of like how that has that song, you know, like, on my way, you know, just something like that, but I kind of remixed it to what I used to sing, like with a jazz ensemble group a few years ago, so I basically did a 4-part harmony. I used Audacity in order to edit in a lot of, like, edit tracks over one another, so I basically had to go through, sing individual parts, do the rhythmic stuff, so that way it just sounds more cohesive, and the end result is something that I am definitely proud of, and it's actually led me to consideration that maybe I am going to probably be creating some more work in that response, so it's definitely a wait-and-see approach. I am very particular with how I do my music, so it's going to probably take a little while before I decide to do another one.
Well, that's cool.
But,
You should, if you want to, send that to the audio to me, and I can add it to the show if you want to do that. So,
yeah, I can try that.
Okay,
I can try
cool.
that.
Cool.
So, Tyler, how have you been doing?
Better now. Oh, I doing great. I had a craft beer nerd out today at the grocery store. I went up there. Lightly. Yeah, I was walking around trying to find something, and I've been trying like a lot of local stuff recently, and there's been a lot of new stuff popping up, so I've been trying those out, hit and miss, a lot of misses, a couple hits with that, but there's this one brewery I've been wanting to try forever. They had like a little documentary series on, I think it was Discovery Channel, years and years ago, like almost probably about a decade ago actually now. And they're one of like the first big ones out there. They're Dogfish Head Brewery, and I've literally probably looked them up to see if they're coming here at least a dozen times over the last 4 or 5 years. And every time I like on Talk Ship or something like that, or I hear someone talking about it, I'm like, I wonder if they're coming here soon. And it's been about probably a year or so since I looked it up. And they said like no plans to come out to Iowa or anything like that. And so anyways, I was walking around the beer aisle looking for something to drink, and I turn around and I look, and I see Dogfish Head, and I see that 60-minute double IPA, and I audibly yelled yes with a fist pump and everything. And I'm looking around just like, all right, I don't think anybody saw or heard me. Cool. So a lot of them, like I got the last 6-pack of the 60-minute IPA, which I have not tried yet. Actually, no, it's not a double IPA. It's just a regular IPA. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give me 1 second here. You're gonna hear my first ever taste. The first time it's ever hit my lips on recording, so I can have this moment forever. It's gonna be either heartbreaking or it's gonna be fantastic. So give me 2 seconds here. Oh man. That's good. That's really good. Gables.
What?
I might be the first one to cry on the podcast.
Oh my god. I was just waiting for the moment or something like that where you're just like taking a drink and all of a sudden it's like, oh, what tastes like sand? Oh, no.
I've had some beers that probably tasted worse than sand, actually. This is definitely not one of them.
Oh man, I'm just picturing the image of you, Tyler. Just like you're cracking open this beer for the first time, you're taking a drink of it. All of a sudden, it's just that grainy sort of taste and stuff, and it just kind of reminds you of the beach water. It's like, Oh, wait, who put beach water? Who put sand in this IPA?
Yeah. Why is it so salty? Is it sea salt? Is it a sea salt beer?
It's like, why does it taste like? Oh God, there's a snail.
Take a drink and the lobster pinches my tongue.
How did you get in there?
That's impressive. I'm not even mad. Oh man, no, it's
IPA lobsters.
They're the worst. Fucking IPA lobster. They ruin everything, man. That's why Red Lobster is doing the God's work right now. Get rid of all those IPA lobsters. Oh man, no, it's really good. It's worth the wait. I'm gonna take one more drink. You know what? We're gonna keep the podcast rolling. This is not a listen to me drink beer podcast. This is listen to me talk while drinking beer, but not listening to me drink beer. But no, I don't really know where we go from here. We kind of went off on weird tangents there.
All I can say, man, is if you drink that entirety of that damn thing while we're recording, it's going to be a fucking hell of a show.
Oh, I got that one going, and I got another one next to me right here as well.
Oh no,
so it's gonna be fun. It's not super high alcohol content though. 6%. Yeah, it ain't that bad. I did have another beer before that, which was only 5%. So we're good. We're good. I'm gonna be all right. You've dealt with me through the worst on the show. You've had to carry me. Yeah, you've had to carry me a few times. I don't think tonight's gonna be one of those episodes.
Okay.
So hopefully not. I have no promises, Gables. But anyways, this is it's a Drunk Nerds podcast, so I guess it's appropriate that we talk about beer every now and again. But this is also primarily a video game podcast. So we're gonna jump into some games. Do you want to do news first, or do you want to go through what we've been playing first?
Let's go through and just take care of some bit of the news.
All right, cool. So, actually, this first one, it's more of an opinion piece, I guess, than a news. But Metal Gear Survive. That came out, Gables. Did you know this?
No.
I know, right?
That's definitely a fucking stealth release. I hadn't heard much of anything about that until this week.
Yeah, I had no idea until I think it came out Tuesday, and I think I remember the release date being announced, but I had no idea until probably Monday afternoon. I want to say sometime late Monday,
dude.
And I'm like, Metal Gear Survive's out tomorrow. I'm like, fucking really?
Dude, I literally went into GameStop yesterday. I looked at the PS4 games, and I see a copy of Metal Gear Survive, and I'm like, what the fuck? That game's out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's $40. It's an online-only game. There's zombies in it. Gables and I are, I would say we're self-proclaimed Metal Gear super fans, fanboys,
yeah.
Huge, giant fans. Maybe I'm the fanboy in this equation. It is my favorite franchise of all time. We even did a bracket about it.
Yeah.
Maybe Madden still.
I still can't get over it.
I still don't know who's the winner of that. It's 101A at this point. But who would ever thought that a Metal Gear game would come out and two crazy things in a situation where, speaking for me personally, and maybe you, one wouldn't even know about it until the night before or the night of, and two wouldn't care at all. First time in 20 years since Metal Gear Solid 2 a Metal Gear game came out, and I was not excited for it. I didn't watch everything I could find on it. I have almost zero knowledge. I listened to Giant Bomb talk about it, and that's all the information I have on it. And I haven't watched any reviews, I haven't read anything about it. That's it. That's all I know about it is on a podcast. So I just thought that was kind of crazy when I heard that. I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, that game's either like they know it's like the Giant Bomb. A couple other people talked about that. I saw talk about this too, but it's kind of a good point. It's like either they knew this game wasn't very good, or it's a game they did spent a bunch of money on advertising it. We get a lot of pushback. People are mad about Kojima and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Anyways, I thought that was just kind of crazy for me personally that happened, and no clue. I mean, I know about oddball games coming out that I don't even know what the fuck they are. I'm like, oh, that game's coming out in 2 weeks. Like a game no one had ever heard of. Mm-hmm. And like I knew Frederick 1 and 2 was coming out a month before they were coming out on Switch. Who the fuck else knows that but me? I'm like the only person. And maybe Justin, because I texted him a link. But that was it. But I didn't know a Metal Gear game was coming out. I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's so baffling. Yep. But anyways, getting into the real news. This first one's we're gonna jump into. It's gonna get a little heavy. So, 10% tax increase on M-rated games has been proposed to fund. I put fun. And I typoed there, fun, but it's actually supposed to be fund mental illness in our show notes. Sorry about that. No one's going to see that but me. I don't know why I pointed that out. So a Rhode Island Republican representative proposed a raise in taxes on M-rated video games to fund mental health provisions in schools. So like games like Call of Duty would have they'd be taxed at 10%. So next year, probably like here in Iowa. At least in Des Moines, it's like 6%. So it'd be like an extra $1 or so for a game. Mm-hmm. But anyways, the statement follows President Donald Trump's recent comments on the power of violent video games and films to shape young people's thoughts. This is a quote from I can't remember I don't remember. I can't find his name. His last name is Nardilio. I don't know how you pronounce that. But anyways, this is a quote from him. There is evidence that children exposed to violent video games at a young age tend to act more aggressively than those who are not. Although, this is all quotes from the article. Nardale said in a statement, although he did not provide any sources to substantiate his claims, he would go on to say, "Our goal is to make every school in Rhode Island a safe and calm place for the students to learn." Apparently, Nardilio currently has a 93% approval rating from the NRA. So yeah, that's a thing. By offering children resources to manage their aggression today, we can ensure a more peaceful tomorrow. That was another quote by him. Although the Secret Service here in the United States did their own research and found that less than 20% of the school shooters played violent video games. So I don't want to get into like a liberal versus right-wing kind of thing, conservative, Democratic or Republican thing. But I also want to point out that Donald Trump said there should be a rating board for video games this week as well.
He's about 20 years too late.
About 25 years, yeah. A little late on that one. There's called ESRB. It's been around for a while, buddy. Catch up. Anyways, so this was a smart play by him, I would say. One, it diverts, that's with the terrible shooting that happened in Parkland, Florida, a couple weeks ago. It kind of diverts attention from, the gun control stuff, and it's kind of the easy thing. You always see like Fox News go on rant about violent video games being a thing and school shootings, but like they said, their own government did the research and found less than 20% of school shooters play violent video games. But I think this is a smart play because if there's any pushback from it, you can easily you don't want to help fund mental illness for kids. But if you agree to this, you're kind of admitting that that video games either is a part of the problem or B is the problem. So it's kind of like if anybody is against this in any way, it's kind of like you don't look good, even though I don't know, it's a tough line to walk on, I guess.
Not just a tough line to walk on, but it's worded in such a way to where it's very slick in order the way this was orchestrated. It's definitely something that was given a bunch of time to just go through and try to marinate. Because we all understand a bunch of the studies behind, some, I shouldn't say some, but it's like some of us who actually have done little bits of research in between like some of these case studies and linking violent video games to aggression and stuff like that. A lot of those things are just thrown out. Not just because of not there being a lot of people, but it's just a lot of it does not hold too much weight in terms of that. I felt a lot of what this bill was initially suggested to for Rhode Island and stuff was based upon just little bits here and there to try to distract from all the gun laws and all the other stuff that's been going full force. I mean, let's just think of it this way. There's a reason why the NRA supported this, like, what, at 93%?
Well, 93% of NRA members support this representative, Nardilio. So.
But I do agree with you, Tyler, that this is definitely a smart way for people to support, like, children that need, like, help with mental health stuff like that. But this is definitely a double-edged sword, too, because it's like, not only are you paying towards something that just fully admits and stuff to where it's like, oh, hey, violence in video games are the cause of people going through and shooting up stuff. But at the opposite end, it's like, if you don't pay this sort of tax or something, if you're buying like a game that's like a violent video game, it's like, it kind of labels you as sort of like a criminal too. So it's like, oh gosh, it's just so weird how this kind of like thing is, like how the perception of like this is orchestrated in of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, yeah, it's no biggie. It's just the way that the bill itself is orchestrated for, like, what was this, Rhode Island, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so the way this thing feels like is orchestrated, it just feels like it's just really kind of, like, grimy in terms of, like, not just what it suggests, what the hidden undertones of all these represents, but it's like, if you don't agree with this and stuff like that, you're basically, like I was just saying before, you basically are being put, like, a guilt trip. People are going to be looking at those who don't, like, oppose this. You know, the people who oppose this or something like that are going to be looked at in a negative light because other people are thinking they're not going to support, like, say, mental illness help and stuff like that. But either way around and stuff, this is, like, a very kind of, like, uncomfortable way to go through and, like, institute a law and stuff. But then again, it's like, God, man, I'm kind of beside myself because, in a way and stuff, I can understand the positive cause of, like, putting a tax, like, on some violent video games or something like that, but at the same point, it's sort of like, it sort of deters a lot of that stuff, kind of creating the whole logic that, oh, hey, we agree that these particular video games are the cause of these shootings, are the cause of these type of violent outbursts, and that's just simply not true.
Yeah. And I'm not, personally not trying to say that video games might, I mean, there very well could be, and there probably is to a certain extent, something there between, violence and violent video games. I mean, I know, like, fucking every kid out there that watch wrestling, practice wrestling moves with their friends, and people get hurt, shit like that. You always, so, yeah, it's a really, like I said, it's a tough call to make. Like you were saying, like, I'm for this. I'm okay with the idea. I just don't like the reasonings being put in place. Yeah, it feels like a cheap, nasty kind of trick that's there. Like, but at the same time, these are rated M games. These are people over 17 that should be buying these games, and this is supposed to go towards mental illness studies for kids. So I'm like, well, technically these kids are supposed to play it, and I know, like, we all played rated M games. I was playing freaking GTA when I was in freaking middle school. And I'm sure a lot of other people were. So obviously those rules get breaking, but the rating is already there for that purpose.
I understand that. I understand that too. But I just kind of find it interesting that they go forth like mental health for kids more so than it's just like, say, mental health for just people in general, regardless of age and stuff. That's also sort of like, now that I'm just noticing that, it's like, it's kind of really sort of like reminiscent to, like how the whole perception, like say by Fox News or something like that, violent video games are like some of the leading causes of like these school shootings and stuff like that. In and of itself, just the little blurb about there being like, oh, this goes to help like a kid's like mental health and stuff like that, these adult rated games and this and that and this and that. It's definitely paid some little bit of reference towards that and cause, I felt this bill probably would have been better orchestrated if it wasn't just aimed towards just a small demographic and in terms just like expanded for just mental health for like adults and kids in general, I at least would have been able to stomach it a little bit more than that. And it's a little bit more widespread than just like targeting just a specific type of stereotype thing that the media has sort of imposed upon like gaming in terms of, say, the violent media stuff, like violent video games, this and that. But that's just me.
Yeah. And, I mean, to jump on one more point before we move on, that not all rated M games are violent games.
That's very true.
Catherine is a rated M game, and that's just because it's very sexual.
Yeah.
I think is Bayonetta, is that teen?
Yeah,
or is
it's
that mature? Is it? Yeah. I mean, I guess that's kind of violent. There's shooting and
there's a lot of sexual suggestions and a lot of like innuendos and stuff like that. Excuse me.
Yeah. No. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's not an easy thing to walk. Not easy. There's no easy response to that. But there's a lot of variables in it. So, we're gonna move on in a very non easy segue there into kind of this week, not a lot of major topics, a lot of smaller stuff. So, I hit my mic again. Damn it. I keep doing that. But anyways, EA Play 2018. We got some news on it. People might not remember. EA kind of separated itself from E3. But like it's like down the street now from E3. And they have like they just rent out like a little small arena or small little stadium thing. I'm not sure what it is. But anyways, now they had some more details on it. So it's going to be between June 9th and 11th. E3 is actually on the 12th. They're going to have a press conference like they did last year on June 9th. It'll be streamed online. And they also came out with some more details. All the EA Sports games, the annual ones, are going to be playable as always. There's going to be a new Battlefield experience that will be playable, and they'll be released this holiday. No other details on it. And then also BioWare's game Anthem will also be playable. So nothing really major there, but just kind of a couple of nuggets out of it with officially announcing, I think everybody knew one was coming, but it's every other year, I believe. But a new Battlefield game, and also the use of the word experience. It's kind of a weird wording. Don't want to read too much into it. Maybe I already, by pointing out that word being there, I'm already reading too much into it. But I don't know. I'm just I actually somehow, I don't know why, listened to like some of our old shows not too long ago. And I stumbled upon last E3 when we did like 7 or 8 shows in like 1 week. For E3, I actually stumbled across the EA episode and us ranting and complaining about the EA Play press conference, and there was just a bunch of sports games, and A Way Out was the only redeemable thing out of it. Anthem wasn't even was announced there, but nothing was shown for it. So I don't really care either way about the EA not being part of E3 at all. As what we are, we're not in the business, so we don't really care about it. It doesn't really affect us anyway. But I am kind of curious though. Like, I'm not a huge Battlefield guy. I liked Battlefield 3. Thought 4 was okay. Battlefield 1 didn't really care for all that much. But I am curious. It's interesting actually that it's late February and there's no real details about Battlefield. I'm surprised. Usually that big games like that, there's no real surprise a year before the game is launched. You pretty much know. Like, I think everybody knew Battlefield. I think everybody knew everything about Battlefield 1 except for the name. Until when it was finally actually announced. Like, we already knew it was a World War I game. We knew everything about it, just not the name. So, what about you, Gables? Anything about you excite this for you about EA, or what do you think?
Well, let's see. For the EA Play stuff with these little recent announcements and stuff, it's kind of surprising, like you were just saying, that we haven't really heard too much about Battlefield up until like right now. Considering that it has, how long has it been since like Battlefield 1 here?
October 2016.
Yeah, I thought so. So we haven't heard anything about this particular Battlefield game, like almost like a year and a half, I want to say, since the major thing that EA did with Battlefield. In and of itself, it's kind of interesting that they introduce this sort of like the Battlefield experience, meaning like this, they're trying so desperately to try to make it, say, a bigger event by their wording and stuff like that, knowing full well their follies with Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the reasons why they've kept so much of like Battlefield in general and stuff under wraps, because they probably are going to be waiting maybe until, I don't know, maybe around mid-March, or possibly showcase it at E3 as something that's kind of different than, say, what Call of Duty did with World War II and all this other stuff. But everything else and stuff about the EA Play here, this announcement and stuff, just been kind of like standard and stuff. I mean, I'm kind of interested in seeing what more of like what they show of Anthem eventually, but yeah. Other than that, though, this really wasn't anything too exciting to me.
Yeah, I agree. There's almost always like one little cool nugget that comes out of EA press conference.
Yeah.
Even though like you sit through 45 minutes of stupid shit to get like 2 or 3 minutes of cool stuff. Like last year was A Way Out. The year before that was Faye. The year before that was Unraveled. So my worst nightmare might come true. Maybe Unravel 2 was shown off at this E3. But I wouldn't be surprised if we hear more about the Battlefield game before then, because I think Battlefield 1 was officially, like, they had like a trailer come out for it a few weeks before E3. And I think Call of Duty, Activision does the same thing with Call of Duty. I think they do it all the time. Like they do like a small, like, here's some initial details and just like kind of what it is right before E3, then we get the full blown everything about the game at E3. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it in the next couple of months, or we'll get something official for it. But moving on to our next topic, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and this has been kind of one of the worst kept secrets. Like, it's been out there since, like, I want to say October, November of last year. But officially, EA released a trailer. I guess keeping with EA. For Burnout Paradise Remastered. It's coming to PS4 and Xbox One on March 16th. It's going to be $40. It's going to come to PC later this year, but no details other than later this year. This new edition includes technical enhancements that include high-resolution textures, 4K 60 frames per second for PS4 and PS4 Pro and Xbox One X owners. Will include base game and 8 add-on packs. They released a shit ton of DLC for that game, and that was actually really cool because a lot of that DLC was free back then. They released like motorcycles and whole other sections to the game. I think a couple of them were paid, like the bigger ones were I think you had to pay for, but like $10. But all that stuff's gonna be included. And then you're gonna have the legendary car pack, which included the Back to the Future car and Ghostbusters car. So yeah, that is coming out. I personally, Gables, we were actually talking about a little bit before the show, but I told Gables already. I actually already bought it digitally on PS4, and I canceled my Kirby Star Allies pre-order. I'm like, it's coming out on the same day. Like, there's a shit ton of stuff coming out in the last 2 weeks of March. I'm not gonna have time for all that. Maybe I'll play it later. But yeah, I am incredibly pumped. I love playing that game. That was, and when we talked about it a few weeks ago, I talked about how that was one of the first like big games I got into. Where, like, there's me and 7 other friends just driving around Paradise City. And I cannot wait to listen to Faith No More's Epic on repeat and just fuck shit up in this game. And I'm hoping that we can get a bunch of gamer nights out of this, because this will be hopefully incredibly fun, and I hope it's not all nostalgia for me. What about you, Gables?
I kind of feel the same way, where it's like I have heavy nostalgia for Burnout Paradise, considering that, what was it, like around 2010, so roughly around 8 years ago, that was my first platinum for my on the PlayStation 3 and stuff like that. So it definitely has heavy influence for me, and I feel like I want to go through and play Burnout Paradise again eventually. And it's like, this is definitely a perfect time and stuff. I'm not too sure when I will get it, but I definitely want to see if we can get like a bunch of guys for the gamer night stuff, for have us, then have the Talking Ship guys, see if there's any interest, and just go through, wreck some shit.
Yes. Yeah, and they're gonna have the original soundtrack, which is very important to me.
Oh yes.
So Paradise, Guns N' Roses. Yeah, Paradise City is gonna be there. Avril Lavigne will be there. So that's
well,
let's not make things. Yeah, at least we're not making things complicated. So we'll know it's gonna be there. Yeah, I am incredibly excited for this, as is Gables. So it's gonna be, and it's actually this is I forgot to put this in the notes, but this is EA's first remaster for this. I don't think they've ever really done one before. So they've always been kind of against, like they've always been kind of anti remaster. So
and they're actually doing a fucking remaster. That's a great point right there, Tyler. I've never actually have seen EA do like a remaster that I know of.
Yeah, no, because they haven't done one. So yeah, at least on this generation. I can't think of anything from last generation. So, yeah. So this opens up the doors. You know, I've talked about in the show before about a lot of people have wanted the Mass Effect and Dead Space remasters. So, I don't want to give hopes up too much, but I kind of am. But you know that I would love to get those out here eventually. So it's, you know, EA's obviously had a rough last year or so, last couple of years with bad publicity. So stuff like bringing back cool games that people love back in the day, and they've had a rough time with quality racing games. So everybody's been wanting for a decade since Burnout Paradise came out. Everybody's wanted the next Burnout Paradise. I guess the best way to get us the next great Burnout Paradise game is to just give us Burnout Paradise. So, which I'm fine with, especially $40, all that cool jazz. So, moving on though. Next topic, a game that we've talked about a lot, well, actually last month, is Dragon Ball FighterZ, I don't know, whatever. I'll figure it out one of these days. But anyways, whoever the people working on it, Namco Bandai, I don't remember the company that's directly working for it.
Well, let's see. You
developers.
You have Namco Bandai as a publisher, then you have Arc System Works, the creators of the Guilty Gear games that are.
Thank you.
Did that.
Yes. Yeah. So they've announced kind of some details about they have a plan to patch a lot of the online issues. That's been a big issue for Gables. Has talked about a lot, and that's caused, like I think we mentioned it last week, but like over 80% of the online community for Steam has dropped off. People are dropping off on Xbox One and PS4, not as fast, but dropping off. And a lot of that has just been the online issues, trouble getting into games constantly getting booted from games.
Yep.
So producer Tamako Hiroki came out and said, We've heard all your feedback since the release, and we're fully aware of the online issues that you're having, such as the matching in the ring match or being disconnected from the lobby. We're aware of the situation and keen to resolve them with all of our might. So the first step towards fixing the problem will be coming at the end of February. So I'm going to assume, it's Saturday night, it's the 24th. So that gives them until Wednesday night to release the first patch. So coming before the end of February with a new update. No details on what that update is, but they said it's going to be the first steps of the problem. And then they went on to say that please bear in mind that this first patch might not fix everything at once. Therefore, we're also planning to release another patch mid to late March to gradually resolve the issue. Rest assured that we will not stop until the fix has been completed. So the game's been out for about a month now, and that's been a constant issue for people, and that's kind of really been the biggest negative for it, for a lot of people. And I've played a handful of matches here and there. I'm getting my ass whooped, but I've dealt with those issues with dropped frame rates, glitching, dropped out lobbies, can't get in the matches.
Yep.
So this is great to hear, because there's there's a lot of people like talk ship guys that kind of quit playing the game for a lot of the same reasons, and I would love to have a gamer night for that game too, because this game, obviously, like I said last week, is fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But I love to play Gables, but kind of what's the point at this point right now? So I'm might be a little too late. It's been 4 weeks now, but I'm glad they're sticking with it, and I guess they have they have a season pass. They announced, I think, the first fighter coming out for it. I'm not even gonna pretend like I know who it is, but you can look it up if you're interested. So they gotta kind of keep supporting this game, and that's online's the biggest seller they have right now for this game. So I'm glad they're fixing it. This is good, especially because I like I said, I want to play this game with friends. I'll bet you, Gables.
I feel the same way and stuff. Like we have said previously, and the online stuff definitely has been issues. I mean, I know for a fact when I first started playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, and then going through with the whole Road to 1000 stuff like that, just one of the reasons why it's taken so long in order to try to go forth with completing matches and stuff is because most of the time I get disconnected while I'm facing off against people that have, like, I kid you not, good connections or something like that. I've played roughly maybe about 30 matches or so online, and I keep on losing a lot of them, not because of skill play, but because of the lobby deciding in and of itself, oh, hey, yeah, all of a sudden you're out of the lobby. I'm like, what? And it's frustrating because I have been close to winning a few matches, only for it to disconnect the last minute.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it is, like, once you leave the lobby, you are rewarded a loss automatically for online. So it's like, jeez.
Double kick in the pants, especially when you're on the verge of victory. I do want to point out, though, I wasn't using the glitching and getting kicked out and all that as an excuse. I was definitely getting my ass whooped in those games. Like, not even beating one guy out of the three. So, I was not making excuses. Cause I've said it many times, and I want to reiterate, I'm terrible at video games. And that'll always be true. Except for maybe Madden. But anyways, no, that's awesome. I want this game. I don't really plan on getting rid of it anytime soon. And like I said, I want to keep playing. I want to play with friends. But moving on to one of my favorite things of the month. We got the NPD numbers for January.
Yeah.
Not anything really too exciting coming out of it as far as, because there's no really major, like we just talked about, Dragon Ball FighterZ and Monster Hunter World came out. But all the big games are out of the way. There's not a lot of competition going on right now. The holidays just happened, so not a lot of big news. Console sales are way up, but a lot of the kind came out and said a lot of it has to do with the Xbox One X and the Switch being on the market. So obviously that's gonna make a big difference. We got one brand new console, or well, not brand new, but first time in January on the market. And you have the Xbox One X been out for a couple months now. So console sales way up. But here's the top 20 lists for everybody real quick. Number 20, Need for Speed Payback. Number 19, Dissidia? Final Fantasy NT? Dissidia, thank you. I don't know what the hell that is. It sounds like a Japanese RPG kind of game.
It is a fighting game with Final Fantasy characters.
Makes sense with the Final Fantasy being in the name. Probably should have figured that out when I'm myself. Oh well. I'm also an idiot, as well as being terrible at video games. Number 18, Splatoon 2. Number 17, Sims 4. Number 16, Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Really? Number 15, FIFA 18. Number 14, Rainbow Six Siege. Number 13, EA Sports UFC 3. Number 12, Assassin's Creed Origins. Number 11, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Number 10, Madden NFL 18. Number 9, Mario Kart 8. Number 8, Zelda Breath of the Wild. Number 7, Mario Odyssey.
Wow.
6, NBA 2K18. 5, GTA 5. 4, PUBG for the Xbox One. 3, Call of Duty World War II. 2, Dragon Ball FighterZ, or Fighters, whatever. And number 1, Monster Hunter World.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that is a list and a half.
Yes. So a lot of strong titles in that. I lost my bottle opener, Gables. What am I going to do? Luckily I have like 12 of them because I feel like I might be a borderline alcoholic. But anyways, I don't know. No, it's a pretty awesome. It's a pretty big list. There are a lot of big juggernauts on that list. Obviously, I think really cool is Monster Hunter World, Dragon Ball FighterZ both came out on the same day. Actually,
yeah.
The last Friday of January, and they are number 1 and 2 of the month, beating out some. I know Call of Duty's been out for a couple months now, but still Call of Duty. It's number 1 selling game of 2017, and it's sold more copies than any other game in the last 12 months. So that's a big thing to do. Monster Hunter World, I think they said it was the best launch ever for a Monster Hunter game. So that's great to hear. I know Dragon Ball FighterZ, they said was the best Dragon Ball launch for a video game since I want to say I don't remember the game. It was like a 2002 game though, since like the PS2 days. So it's been 15, 16 years. So that's obviously great for them as well. But I thought some interesting things kind of coming out of it really is, and we talked about this the last couple months, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 they were number 1, I think, or they're number 2, I think, in November, and they're number 2 again in December, falling behind Call of Duty both months, but dropping all the way to 11th. And not only dropping to 11th, but falling behind games like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Mario Kart 8. games that are on one console and on a newer console have the small installer base. And Mario Kart 8's been out since last April. Breath of the Wild's been out since last March. Mario Odyssey's been out since October. No digs at those games, but it's just crazy to me that a game with Star Wars in the title being pushed by EA, and I know I had all the bad publicity, but still to even see it fall that far, you would think like Call of Duty World War II as number 3. Falling out of the top 5 is crazy to me, especially behind like GTA 5. That is been out for like 5 years now, and you got PUBG. It's on one console, and it's still in early access. I just kind of thought that's kind of the big thing that stuck out to me on this list. So, what about you, Gables? Anything for you?
Well, honestly, just seeing like the 3-game stretch of like Mario Kart 8, like Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, just like back to back to back. That's kind of surprising. But also, what's the biggest surprise and stuff is like both Monster Hunter and Dragon Ball FighterZ being 1 and 2 respectively, over games like Call of Duty, over games like GTA 5. Which hell, those games always have their install base. They're always on like the high ends of these lists anyway. Just seeing a bit of variety on these MPD lists other than the random like action and sports titles and all this other shit, it's like it's definitely a breath of fresh air. But also what's really surprising is not 1 but 2 Dragon Ball games on an MPD list. That's
something I forgot to mention. Yeah, what the hell is Xenoverse? And why is that on the list?
All right, well, let's see. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Let's see. The Xenoverse games are sort of like reminiscent to like say an open world sort of like take upon like different types of things for like Dragon Ball Z, the series and stuff. So it just plays like time travel sort of roles or something. That's just me doing a basic synopsis. I've never played the Xenoverse games, but Xenoverse 2 is on Switch, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why the thing is being boosted up so much as of late. Plus, there's some like DLC content I think that's been going to be coming out for it pretty soon too. So that probably spurred some interest. But yeah, just the overall thought that there are 2 Dragon Ball games on the MPD list just kind of blows my mind. And listen, at this point,
I want to look. I'm gonna Google check because I want to know when that game came out. Like Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Here we go.
Well, you also remember that Jake actually played a little bit of Dragon Ball Xenoverse as well, because you know how he is.
February 2015.
Yep.
What the hell? It must have been some killer sales, or people are just hyping themselves up for Dragon Ball or something. Because that's just it's like you said, those 2 games being on the top list are 2 very niche audience games.
Yes.
2 very niche audience game types, being a fighter game and Monster Hunter. I mean, it's open world, but it's its own kind of Japanese, weird thing. So, yeah. And before we move on, EA Sports UFC 3 at 13 in its debut month. Not good.
No.
So those games are supposed to be pretty terrible, but I'm surprised to see it that low as well. But moving on, we got 2 more topics left. Both Nintendo related. So we got some more Smash Brothers rumors. Pretty much been talked about before the Switch was even officially revealed. I think about there being a Smash Brothers game for the Switch. But Emily Rogers, who has this is from the article, who has been both spot on and occasionally off the mark with Nintendo rumors, claims that a Smash Brothers game will be announced and released for the Switch later this year. Rogers further says that the game will include new content as well as reworked content from Wii U and 3DS games. Rogers isn't sure as to how Nintendo will brand the game, whether it's a deluxe edition, some sort of sequel, or a half sequel or a full sequel. But for people who don't know, Emily Rogers and Laura K. Dales, I want to say her name is, those 2 were like the queens of like scoops for Nintendo, especially like pre like Switch being revealed, where like they pretty much everything that was shown off was pretty much they already leaked, and they were right about pretty much everything. The only thing maybe they were off about was like timing, like when things were coming out, when things were going to be revealed. But everything they said pretty much came true, or will come true. It sounds like, and obviously, like the Smash Bros. Stuff has been talked about forever. This isn't really a far-fetched thing. Like, I think for me personally, I'm already surprised. I'm surprised this game isn't already out or coming out soon. But I think the idea of like, for me, it's always been, oh, this is just a Wii U. Maybe they'll throw some 3DS stuff in there, and it'll be a deluxe edition. But to hear that there'll be some new stuff in it, and it might be potentially a full sequel, is that's the first time I've never really considered that before. What about you?
Yeah, just have like a sequel to a Smash Brothers game. That I don't know if that's like. No, it's definitely never happened before in terms of that. But I think a lot of this news that she goes into about this potential Smash Brothers game that does hold some bit of truth, personally, because this does make a lot of sense considering the track record Nintendo has now with re-releasing Wii U ports onto the Switch. Either it be like games like Mario Kart 8 or like the upcoming Hyrule Warriors, and hell, we just got like a relaunch like of Bayonetta 2 that just came out just past week, so it definitely holds some merit that, hey, Smash Brothers inside of like the first couple of years of the Switch's launch, I mean, that in and of itself is an amazing concept. But I kind of feel like with a lot of what she was saying, not only just kind of holds weight though, but I kind of feel that it's going to be very exciting come towards like E3 and stuff, because you know, Nintendo, they're not going to leak anything really major in terms of, like, anything Smash Brothers related up until when they want to.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just the whole concepts of, like, well, is there going to be, like, a version released where it's going to be a mixture of, like, not just both versions, but kind of like what Emily Rogers was just suggesting, where it could be, like, remixes of certain choruses and stuff. I'm kind of interested in seeing if there's any new characters, too, you know, if that is the case, because that's just the thing and stuff. There were so many characters, like third-party characters that were in there, first-party from Nintendo and stuff. But, yeah, I kind of feel that this is probably, you know, even taking a little grain of salt here and there, it's definitely going to happen. There's going to be some form of a Smash Brothers game, probably reworked from the Wii U, appearing on the Switch pretty soon.
Yeah, I would, if we're going to continue, like, kind of when we talk about the Pokemon Switch game, if we're putting down, if someone gave me $20, said bet if it's going to be a sequel or it's going to be the definitive edition, I would probably lean more towards the definitive edition. The Wii U, 3DS, like I talked about a while ago, like it'd be cool, just throw Ice Climber in there, combine the 3DS maps with the Wii U maps and all the gameplay stuff from the Wii U game, get rid of the Smash Run stuff from the 3DS because that wasn't very good, and just make that one big game. Maybe do some more DLC stuff to it. I don't know. Maybe like a season pass with some more characters. I don't know. Curious if they would be bringing on Bayonetta and Cloud and stuff again, like and Ryu, like they did last time.
I mean, that's the thing about Nintendo. They wouldn't have to do much in order to try to get people to rebuy Smash again for the Switch. All they would have to do was just include all the DLC stuff that they had for the Wii U version, kind of similar to what they did with Mario Kart 8. And probably what they're going to be doing with Hyrule Warriors, I think. Yeah. To where it's like, you have both versions of the game that was for 3DS and Wii U. You combine them together. You take out the worst portions of those games. Then you have a definitive edition. And so not only do you have all the characters, like Bayonetta, Cloud, freaking, what was it? Like Pac-Man.
Ryu, Sonic.
Yeah, Ryu, Pac-Man, Sonic, and all that other stuff. And like, just have everyone together, everything together and stuff inside of a big cohesive package, along with remixing of like choruses of potential new characters. That sells itself right there, you know, and that aims towards, I would bet the same thing too, where it's like, this is probably going to be a definitive edition of this, probably one of the best Smash Brothers games to be released in the past like 10 years, you know.
Yeah. The only thing I would see being a potential issue is the third party characters, whether or not they can, if they're going to be able to bring them all back. Like, no, they weren't able to bring back Solid Snake for this version, or for the Wii U version. So that'd be the only thing I could see a cause for concern. But yeah, like, I mean, look at like the Pokemon Tournament game they released last year. They even announced, they've already just released DLC for the game. You know, it's a definitive edition, and they announced DLC for it. So I could see them doing that with making this a definitive edition. do maybe some small DLC for it, and a few years down the line, maybe later into the generation, when because they've already released all their two biggest guns in Zelda and Mario.
Yep.
Probably for this generation, we might have already seen them at the last of the big the Mario and 3D Mario and Zelda game. So releasing maybe their third or fourth biggest gun they got in Smash Brothers in the first year or so, year and a half of the console. Not a bad thing, but you just kind of look later down the line, what the hell are we going to get? So I can see them, this is what we're going to get now, and then, when we're a little more established and into this generation, they're like, all right, here's the new big Smash Brothers. And it's hard to think what the hell they can do to kind of top this one, other than the cool thing for me that would really make me excited for this is like bring back the story mode thing they had in the Wii version, because that was awesome. And I paid $100 for the Smash Brothers Wii U version. I paid, I bought the 3DS version. I put $150 into that game.
Wow.
For those two games, and I probably combined played them for 15 hours. So for me to want to jump in on another Smash Brothers game, not super excited about it. But I'm excited for the people that love those games. I love those games, but if I had a community to play them with on a regular basis, I would definitely jump into that. But moving on to our last topic before we get into what we've been playing, Doom for the Switch came out a couple months ago, and kind of quietly I don't think they announced it. I think it just didn't come out until after the patch released. But with patch 1.1.1, they with some bug fixes, and they actually did some performance improvements, so it runs a little better in certain areas. They added motion controls, so they have the gyroscope mechanic like you see in a lot of 3DS shooting games, like the Metroid Prime Federation, where you move the whole Switch around to look around. Splatoon had it on the Wii U as well, where you can hold the tablet, and that's how you aimed, was by moving it. I think Splatoon 2 even has it too. So they added that in there. I guess it was highly requested from gamers wanting that. Also in that as well, on top of the motion controls, is they added a party system, so you can easily play with people on your friends list in multiplayer mode. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a cool thing to add. Not my cup of tea, but I think for people that love Doom or that bought it for the Switch, and people that love like Justin, I know loves the gyroscope controls. I'm sure if he's not playing it already, he will be playing it soon, because I know he has it for the Switch. What about you, Gables?
I think this is a great move by Bethesda on their part and stuff, to where it's like, that was just one of the key concerns about the port of Doom on Switch. There were certain performance issues, especially if you increased like the higher difficulty levels, where there were more enemies on screen. Because of how many enemies are popping up on screen, and caused the Switch version to do like various bits of slowdown, especially if you got past a certain amount. Even if you were going like on the hardest difficulty and stuff, there were times where the game would slow down to kind of like a crawl, to where you could not really successfully go through certain portions without having some sort of detriment to the gameplay in and of itself. But let's see. Other than that, though, there were certain maybe fidelity issues that I had seen through the Digital Foundry video that they released. I would think what was about a month or two ago, involving the Switch version of Doom. Let's see. There were definitely some bits of texture, and definitely some bits of glitches that needed to be worked out. But in and of itself, I think this is fantastic that the company Bethesda went through and not only gone through a lot of the issues that have been plaguing that version, but just going through, just not, remembering the fan base for that version of the game and stuff, and not just cutting it off. It's nope, there's not going to be any patches or anything like that and stuff. It's done, it's over and stuff like that. This is the version you get, and move on,
Yeah. That's very easy to do, especially with a lesser port to the Switch for a year and a half, almost 2-year-old game, to just all right, this is what you're gonna get. Here you go, and that's what it is. So enjoy. But it sounds like the Doom sold is been selling pretty well.
Yeah.
For the Switch. I almost said the Wii. So yeah, like I said, it's really cool for them to probably something they really didn't have to add. I doubt this is going to make a drastic change to their sales. If any, like they might have sold a couple extra copies for this, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool to see that, and it's just kind of awesome, especially see like a big developer like Bethesda, for them to put the resources in and let this happen. If you think if this wasn't there at launch, there's no chance of how this would happen 3 months after the game came out. So yeah, I don't know, cool thing. But speaking of Doom, Gables, what have you been playing this week?
Well, in case people haven't already figured it out already, yes, I bought Doom, and I bought it on the Switch. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was totally lucky because I freaking was not aware that the patch was going to be releasing this past week.
Yeah.
So when I bought Doom, I put it inside my Switch today, and I see this download. I'm like, oh, there's a download for this thing. It's like, what is this? Is this the multiplayer thing? Because that has a lot of gigabytes in it. And so
yeah.
I initially went through and I canceled the download and stuff, but I had to install the download, that update, before I even had to go and play the game. So I just went through and I did it anyway. So I go through, I start up Doom, and the first thing the first experiences and stuff that I've had playing the game on Switch and stuff, it definitely feels like I'm playing the game like on the PS4, certainly, because it plays smooth. The controls play smooth. The graphics, you know what? The graphic fidelity aside and stuff, it is a little bit of a step down from the PS4 version. But at the same point, the amount of textures, the amount of fluidity with the enemies and stuff, Bethesda must have worked out some bit of the kinks and stuff with this game, because it's like, I feel like I'm playing a great experience on the Switch in terms of like the first-person shooter stuff. Especially when I'm taking it like with me to do like errands and stuff. And that's exactly what I did today. I took my Switch with me. I wanted to test out to see how Doom would perform while it's undocked. So while inside the car doing the various stuff, I had a chance to play like around, I'd say about 20 minutes or so of Doom. And oh my god, Doom looks awesome in handheld mode. I mean, this game controls so fluidly. Just the controls are excellent in terms of like controlled, precise visions. I had to increase the sensitivity of the right stick a bit, so that way I would feel a little bit more like control in terms of like how fast my movements are going to be precise and this and that. But oh yeah, the gameplay feels like Doom that released in 2015. Well, actually 2016. When I think about it.
Yep.
It still feels like the original release, which that's great. I definitely am not going to be trying any type of the multiplayer stuff because I do not want to download the extra shit.
It's not that good anyways.
Yeah,
You're missing out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not missing out on that. But there are features that are not missing that I'm aware of. There definitely isn't some like shortcomings in sort of the level design. I've basically have played through the first 2 chapters of Doom. I have had no issues so far in terms of gameplay or in terms of like sound clipping or in terms of things like the normal things you would experience if you had like a specific port that's worked on by another company besides the actual company itself. So Panic Button Studios is the one that's actually did the work of the port for the Switch, and I gotta admit, they've done a pretty fantastic job in terms of like porting over this really graphical, intense game, this speed performing type of game onto the Switch. And yeah, you know what? This version is more aimed towards like, say, handheld sort of a handheld sort of like perspective. But even when it's docked, the game looks respectable. It definitely feels like you're playing a game on Steam, sort of like on the low to medium settings, which is not bad. Actually, in terms of the performance and in terms of everything else, the game does not really compromise all that much. Like I said before, the demons and stuff are looking like really good in terms of like the fidelity, the way they move, the way the things going, transversing through the levels. You're quick, you're agile, you're doing things, you're just doing what typical Doom stuff you do in sort of that game. But other than that, Doom for the Switch, it plays really well. And hell, I didn't even care that I paid $60 for that damn thing, because it's like I got a great first-person shooter on the go. Yeah. That's something that I hardly ever have a chance to play, except for maybe Killzone Mercenaries. This is definitely probably the definitive shooter to play on the go, in my honest opinion. But there is a little story behind how I went through and I bought Doom on the Switch. Now, yesterday I went through GameStop because I was looking for a game or something that I wanted to play and stuff. And I picked up Doom, like, for the Switch. I go to the cashier and stuff. She looks at me, and she was just actually started to go a little bit into, like, a little bit of, like, kind of like little puns and stuff on Doom and stuff like that. Not just like puns and stuff on Doom. It's like, hey, do you want a little bit of insurance of your Doom after doing all the Doom extensive stuff? Like, oh my god. Oh my god. She was just fucking crazy.
Marry me now.
Well, I gotta admit it was pretty hot, but I'm just saying. But anyway, like I was just trying to say, that was one of the main things that actually got me to like is pre-ordering another Switch game, Kirby Star Allies, the same game that you discontinued your pre-order on, because it's like yeah, she just talked a little bit of like about like the pre-order stuff, and it's like, oh hey, there's Kirby Star Allies and blah blah blah. And what's kind of funny is like before that we started talking a little bit about Bayonetta and stuff, because I had told her that it's like, yeah, I got Bayonetta last time I was in here, and she just telling me, it's like, oh man, I just beat that fucking game last night, It's like you're just explaining all the different types of moves you purchase in the game and stuff, like the fucking breakdancing move that you go through, and she's just shooting like her fucking pistols everywhere while doing some sort of crazy hip hop like thing. But anyway, I'm just drifting in and out here. But the point being and stuff, it's like I don't ever have really that type of experience, like going to GameStop to where it's like, okay, hey, I want a game. It's like, hey, you want to pre-order this? Blah, blah, blah. It's just the standard affair. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I go through and I start talking with her, and it's like, oh my god, actually, this is pretty fucking fun.
Yeah. So normal conversation at GameStop. Who would have thunk that?
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, fuck. But anyway, that's how I got Doom on the Switch, and that's how I fucking like pre-ordered Kirby Star Allies. Because we started talking about the whole aspect. I was like, oh man, that'd be really fun to play co-op. Yeah, I know, right? But
you should make her your current co-op partner.
Oh my god. Anyway,
where are you guys going on the honeymoon?
Very funny.
Okay, well, all right. Well, okay, fine. Then give me her number. Give me her number, and I'll call her. Then. Jesus.
I'm not that much of a perv.
Damn it, Gables.
But anyway, there are other games I did have a chance to play. I did finish up Dragon Ball FighterZ, the story mode.
Oh, okay.
I have gotten about 70% of that thing done in and of itself. I may go back to get a couple things like gone through when I want, but I got to admit, the story-wise for the game as a whole, it's not so bad and stuff. It actually got me like a little bit more to identify with like Android 21 in and of itself. But well, that's just the thing though. The game was a really fun experience single player wise. You had a chance to try all sorts of different characters. You got to go through and you could battle things as much as you want. You can unlock the skill links for how much you want and stuff, but you don't necessarily have to complete everything in order to fully enjoy the experience of a Dragon Ball FighterZ, But I will admit, though, going through that final portion, going through the final cutscenes and stuff like that, I just didn't really want this game to end. Yeah. Because just having so much fun and like just being in the world of like Dragon Ball and doing this and doing that. Hell, I've just been experiencing Dragon Ball stuff for like the past 20 years. So it's like, hey, you know what? This is actually probably one of the best Dragon Ball games I've played. But let's see. I finished up that for the PS4. But the last thing that I did have a chance to play, I played more Bayonetta. And oh my god, I am finally to about chapter 3 of the game, going through and like just earning a lot of those gold halos and stuff like that, those gold rings in order to use in Rodin's shop, and just experimenting with a bunch of the techniques that Bayonetta can learn. I mean, it is so freaking crazy. It's like what I was saying before and stuff. You know that whole breakdance move that Bayonetta does? It's like you basically hold the ZR trigger, and you just hold it. You just move around and stuff like that, and she'll just randomly go through and just start just twirling on the ground and stuff like that, just shooting her like heel pistols everywhere and stuff until finally go into like ending in a provocative pose of like, oh my god, this is so fucking awesome. Yeah. Oh man, just the various amounts of moves you can actually purchase for Bayonetta, and then like in and of itself there are other portions of like Rodin's shop where you can go through and purchase different weapons, different types of power-ups. And I didn't know this until doing it mid-boss fight, but I paused the menu, and I could actually concoct, like, certain lollipops in order for, like, Bayonetta to go through and recover, like, magic or health or this or that. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it was used for. Because the only other way you can earn those certain types of, like, health recovery items or, like, power-up stuff is if you go through that arcade thing, like that arcade game or something right after each stage, to where if you get like a custom, like a certain amount of points, you can actually go through and earn stuff. But honestly, after every time I've done that, I've just decided to just exchange for rings anyway, because I kind of want to unlock all the stuff that I want to unlock first. Because what I'm doing right now is just unlocking a lot of the techniques before trying to, like, say, power up her weapons or power up little things in and of itself. And I will admit, though, I have never actually played through the entirety of Bayonetta and actually beaten it. I think I've gotten to the point where I've gotten on to maybe the first couple chapters and I just stopped and started playing other stuff. But this game, I feel like I want to beat this game. You know, I feel like I want to go through, play this action game and stuff, and just have myself a fucking ball. Because everything else I've done in this game so far, it's like, it's crazy, it's over the top, and I am absolutely in the mood for a crazy over the top experience. The same as Doom, but still.
Yeah. Similar but very different at the same time.
Exactly. But anyway, that's pretty much all I've been playing. So what about you, Tyler?
I talked about it last week, but I also picked up Bayonetta 2 for the Switch. And I don't know if I said this on the show or not, but I know last time Justin was here, I was talking to him. I think it was might have been before the show. And I said, I pre-ordered Bayonetta, and I'm not really sure why. And anyways, I picked it up. I loved Bayonetta 2 back when I played it on the Wii U. If you listen to one of our old flashback shows, I talked about it then. And I played the shit out of it, beat it in a couple days. And I was telling you before the show about how, I played the first hour of it. I think I'm on chapter 2. And I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. But we were talking about it, and like, you made a good point. Like, I just played Shadow of Colossus and Nier Automata in the last month. Nier Automata being a platinum game. And so I'm pretty much playing a very similar type of game pretty much all year, really, other than Dragon Ball FighterZ. And so I think I might have kind of worn myself out in those games a little bit, so maybe that's why I'm not feeling it so much. And plus, I've already played it before.
But
I know,
true.
But I like that game, so yeah. So I'm gonna play it. I want to play it eventually. I'm gonna go back to it eventually, but I think it's a game I'm just gonna kind of put in the back burner for now. I do have a bunch of games that I still in the back burner that have been in my folder of shame on my PS4 for months now. That I want to play through, like Okami HD, and I still want to finish. I'm like 2 chapters left in Fire Emblem Warriors, so I really want to finish those up. But the one game I talked about last week already that I really have played this week, other than I played half of the first Frederick game again on the Switch, but you guys heard me talk about that game enough. It's awesome and fantastic, so just play it. $7 fucking, just buy it, people. Anyways, I talked about last week Shadow of the Colossus. I think this time last week when we talked about it, I had beaten 12 of the 16 Colossi, and I was positive on it overall, but kind of like, it's good. It's really good, but it's not like this great all-time awesome game that I've always heard about. And I want to eat my words a little bit, So I finished it up Sunday morning, and I beat the last four Guardians. Damn it, wrong Japan Studios game. I beat the last four Colossi, and man, they saved the fucking best for last. And I still stand by with some of the things I said about how I thought the first 6, 7, or 8 Colossi were really cool and awesome. And if I would have talked to you guys at that point, I would have been raving about this game. But I was just like, I just went through 9, 10, 11, 12, and I was like, it's just like, there's nothing really. They kind of feel like retreads, and all that time you spend more time searching for these guys and you're actually fighting them. But I ended up, like I said, I beat the game. Surprisingly, didn't. When I was reading about this game, people were saying it's a 10 to 12 hour game, and I beat it in just under 4.5 hours. I guess there's like a lot of side stuff you can do, and if you have trouble finding the guys, which I did it a few times, there was literally points where I spent 20, 30 minutes looking for these guys, and you could beat them in less than 10 minutes if you know what you're doing. So anyways, I went through and I finished the game, and I'm not gonna sit there and say it's one of my all-time favorite games, but I can definitely see if I went to this game in 2005 or 2006, can't remember which one it was, but going into it in 2005, and knowing what I knew about it then, just saw in trailers, maybe reading about it a little bit, I can definitely see why people are considering this to be like one of the all-time great games, because it has all of that there to it. I think the hype for me, 13 years of waiting to play this game, and after, like I said, playing Last Guardian only raised the hype for me to something it was just impossible to live up for. But even still, I mean, it's a great game. It's awesome. I loved the story, even though, like I said last week, I knew the ending. It still I knew the ending, but I didn't know the events that took place and the ending. And it was still super impactful. Still hit you, because you're going through this game once, like knowing the end of the journey, but going through the journey and seeing what Wanderer's going through, and these poor Colossus that are like they're just wandering around, like, and you just go up and you start stabbing them, and it's like this is kind of like you kind of feel like this is kind of a shitty thing you're doing here, and but going through and just doing all that, you start to you feel kind of bad, and actually going through that still hit me pretty hard once we got to the twist at the end. But it's really, really great, guys. It's $40, like I said last week. This is for sure. If you've played it before, I still say play it now because it looks really good. There's still. It still looks a little. It's not like a top-end PS4 game, but there are certain elements and moments where this game is this is absolutely stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's some cool moments when you're fighting some of the Colossi, especially two of my favorites are there's two flying ones, and when you're riding on the back of them and they're flying around. Oh yeah. Are two of my favorite parts, and the other one there's one where you're underwater and you're holding on. And the Colossi is jumping out of the water and going back underwater, and you're holding on for dear life. Yep. They have that grip meter, and it's so tense. I was I could only play it a few at a time because my hands would start hurting because you're holding down the R2 button so much for gripping, and I was I can't I couldn't play it for more than half an hour. Then you got to hold down triangle to run with Argo, the horse. So it could be a little. Cramping on the hands. It's the old 3DS in a way. At some points, or playing Metroid Prime Hunter on the DS back in the day. But no, it's fantastic. I wish I can go back and play that game when it first came out and appreciate it for what it was then. It'd be like me going and trying to play all the Metal Gear Solid games now, after never playing it before, and just hearing 20 years of hype or 15 years of hype or whatever it is. It wouldn't hit you the same way as it would now. So or then. So I'm kind of rambling, going on about the same thing, but just play the game. It's fucking awesome. But that's really all I've been playing. We're in that kind of we've had a few good weeks some good games coming out with like Celeste and Dragon Ball FighterZ, and we got Bayonetta 2 on the Switch again. We got Shadow of Colossus, Monster Hunter World. But we feel like it looks like we're kind of in a like looking at the calendar for the next few weeks, really until mid-March. And we've talked about it a few times before already, but mid-March we get a good burst of games. So I don't really know what's gonna happen in the next few weeks as far as what we're playing. I think we're like I talked about probably gonna play some stuff in my backlog. Gables, I'm sure, is gonna keep playing Bayonetta 2 and Doom. Yep. But yeah, it's kind of fun. You got new stuff to play, and I can finally jump into some of my old stuff. So my older stuff that's been sitting around for a while. I can start knocking some stuff out. Like I bought the season pass to Wolfenstein 2.
Yeah.
And I think all the content's out for now, and I haven't even touched any of it.
Wow.
What was it? Like Destiny 2. I haven't even played the first expansion. What else? There was something else. Kami HD I bought a few months ago, and I haven't played it yet. So there's a lot of stuff I still have to play. I want to play. So Batman season 2 for Telltale. Like there's four episodes out, and I haven't even played the last 3. So wow. I should probably get on that. Yeah. So I've been really bad about keeping up with my games. I'm gonna try to catch up on some of that while I got some free time on that. But anyways, I think that might do it for the show this week. I don't think I forgot to plug anything this time. Well, I'm about to plug stuff now. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. I'm all over the place now. But if you guys want to hear more from us, we have a Facebook page and group, Drunk Dash Nerds. Like and join us on there. On Twitter at Drunk Nerds Pod. Follow us on there, please. On iTunes, Drunk Dash Nerds Podcast. Subscribe. Leave us 5 stars and a comment. We'd greatly appreciate it if you do. On Twitch, we are at Drunk Nerds Podcast. Or not at Drunk. We are Drunk Nerds Podcast on there. Twitch.tv/Drunk Nerds Podcast. Please follow us on there and send us friend requests. We like friends. Friends are good. And last but not least, on YouTube, we are Drunk Nerds on there. So subscribe, please. Podcast goes up on there as well. So if you guys are more YouTube people, good place to check us out. Subscribe, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'd greatly appreciate if you did that. More people could see us, the happier it makes us. So we would greatly appreciate we do all that. Also, I talked about last week, but this week we got, I think, not one but 2 of the Drunk Nerds flashback shows coming out. I think 59 and 60 are coming out this week. I think 59 is on Tuesday. I think 60 will be on Thursday. And then we'll have one more after that, episode 61. That'll be the last of the flashbacks. And then I think I said last week I found one episode that just never got released. I think it was like 104 that I'll release. And that'll be the end of that. So I think so. Then early March you'll get the last of those shows, and then it's over. No more of those. So officially after that point, every episode that we've ever recorded that actually made it past the recording part and wasn't lost somewhere in the Ethernet of the internet black hole will finally be on the feed for everybody to know and love and listen to. So greatly appreciate it if you guys go and check those out. We've been paying the extra little bit of chunk of change to get those out there every month for you guys. So we'd appreciate it if you check those out. Like I said last week, there's a lot of cool stuff that happened back in those days, and it's fun for me, listening to them, figure out the hell we talked about some of those shows. But it's fun to just kind of hear what the state of video games were, and kind of what we thought and where we were at that point, and see just kind of where our opinions changed on things. Like you go back, listen to the early parts of the show. I was very much anti-Nintendo, and now I'm a lover of Nintendo. It's kind of crazy, and really that's just kind of doing a podcast every week with Gables for nearly 5 years. Yeah, I did that, right? And Justin finally broke me down too. So it's a combination of Justin and Gables attacking me from both sides, probably broke me down. So it's and also Pokemon X and Y. That was a big thing too for me. Yep. So it was it's kind of cool just listening to some of those and me bash Nintendo for a while. Not that I don't bash them now, but I think it was even more so.
I think it was kind of interesting because when we started the show and stuff like that, I think it was like Jacob was like heavy Xbox stuff. I mean, you were kind of like heavy like with PlayStation, Xbox stuff, and I was the one that was just like, okay, the Nintendo talk, this, that, and it's like, oh, now everything's kind of evolved in sort of a way where everything feels like it's more Nintendo. yeah, true. This game I've talked about before, but the last 12 months or so has been
we've been very Nintendo heavy, but I mean, I think Nintendo's been dominating pretty much everything for the last 12 months or so.
That's very true.
Really dating back to last January with the reveal, so it makes sense. But yeah, it's kind of nice because we used to go months without having anything to talk about. So now, I mean, we have stuff. It seems like every week at least one Nintendo topic. So yeah, but please check those out. It's really fun. It's fun from like almost in like a time capsule sort of way. Just kind of to hear all that. So anyways, that's been our show this week. I appreciate you guys for listening. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next week, everyone, game on and have yourself a good week.
Bye, guys. I don't have anything witty to say.
So. Yeah, I don't know either.
So should we do GG everyone? Can we still do that? Does that still make sense?
GG Allen. Oh, come on.
We need Jake on here to say GG, and I can say Allen. So I'm just gonna go back and like edit him in at the end of the show. I don't know if to pay him residuals for that though. I'll have to find out.
All right.
Anyways, bye guys.
Everyone. Bye.